best font I possibly could to sugarcoat it. The title is Oh Snap. Why? Because you think you're doing something really smart. You think, I'm going to actually test things. I'm going to be the smart person who doesn't screw up. And when maybe my analysis goes over to someone else, maybe me, I'm not going to be the guy who's wrong or the gal who's wrong. And so you create a virtual machine, and you create a snapshot, and then you make another snapshot, and you make another snapshot, and you test, and you test, and you test, and you revert, and you're like, ha-ha, it's not there. But guess what? You're wrong. Why? Because the virtual machine is ruining you with snapshots. Because what's really happening is that your virtual machine is buffering all those changes, and it hates to commit them. Hates to commit them. I'm not joking about how many times I tried to force it to commit them because I wanted to be a smart person and use snapshots so I could roll back and retest and retest and retest. And instead, it punished me over and over and over. And I tried this with VirtualBox, and I tried this with VMware, and I tried this with Parallels, and I tried this with Hyper-V, and everything else I could. And all the developers had the same idea, which is, screw you, Dave. You can't get the data you want because you made a snapshot, so forever on, I am going to maintain this image in a way that you'll not want it. Why? Because snapshots contain the data you save, but the second you enable it, it starts to buffer those changes, and it doesn't let it commit to the image. So what happens is you make a change. I know this because this happened to me about 2 years ago, and I said, I made my change. I'm testing shell bags. I'm pausing my VM. I'm going to go look into the image because I'm so smart, and I'm going to pull out the registry, and nothing's there. And I'm like, I've been lied to. All this testing Dan Boyega done is bullshit. Well, no, it turns out that when I actually went into the image and I extracted the live hive, all the data was there. And I was like, okay. Obviously, I'm just doing this wrong. Clearly, I should just read the documentation and force this. So then I went in, and I forced it, and I said, push in that commit. Make another change. Consolidate the snapshots. And I looked again, and it still wasn't there. And I said, well, screw VirtualBox. I'll do it in VMware. Clearly, Oracle is wrong. And then VMware said, no, you still can't have it. And I said, damn it. What can I possibly do? So I said, well, is it just VMware images in general? Is it just virtual disks? And I said, well, I'm going to do what I shouldn't do. I'm just not going to enable snapshots. And then it was there. Suddenly, the damn data showed up. I was looking for this stupid key for weeks. And the funny part was, I just assumed everyone else already figured this out, so I didn't say anything about it for a long time. And then a couple months ago, I'm working with one of my guys, and we're going through and we're testing some stuff. And he says, Dave, nothing's there. And I said, really, nothing's there? He said, yeah. And I said, using a VM, right? He says, yeah. I said, you make snapshots? I go, of course. And I said, congratulations, you're wrong. So he went, he ran at the live image, pulled out the data. I was right. I don't always have to say that, but there's times, specifically, when certain people try to say things like, no, you're wrong, Dave, today. You're wrong, and that's just how it is. And I say, no, I'm sorry. In this case, I actually asked you to test this because I already knew this, but I need you to validate this. Please try again. And so what you'll find, if you're trying to be smart like we were, is that you're going to have a stale virtual image every time, and I haven't found an easy way yet to fix it. The only way I've found is not to ever enable snapshots, or just use a real machine. Use a real machine and put on an agent, or run inside the virtual machine with an agent and pull out the data live. But otherwise, when you go against those flat VMDKs, VHDs, VDIs, whatever it is, and you try to pull data out of that image, you're just going to be sad and wrong. Now, it gets even worse. I know you're saying, Dave, how could it get worse? Oh, it does. Because I get a lot of opposing experts' reports. I do a lot of work, and I'm not going to tell you about this case. What I'm going to tell you is that they made a conclusion about Shimcache. And they said, certain executables don't show up in Shimcache. We know, we tested this. And I said, that's utter crap. I've read everything I possibly can about Shimcache. I've read the Microsoft documents. I've bought people drinks about it. I've done everything I possibly can. I've sent all sorts of interesting things. Will do everything I can possibly can to make sure that I am right before I write something down. And then I looked at the report, and I said, that's really weird, because we both have the same virtual image. And so we rebooted the image after running this program, and it still didn't show up in the Shimcache until we shut it down, and suddenly a program that had been run 5 reboots ago showed up. It's dumb. I don't like it. I don't want it. And I want to make sure that you know, never ever trust a snapshot. You may revert to it. Use it in live analysis. But if you're ever planning to look at that disk, you're ever planning to extract from that image, never, ever trust a snapshot. Don't turn them on. Don't use them. Don't like them. Don't adopt them. Just leave them alone. Thank you very much.